Okay, can you tell me about your current project?
Yeah, currently I'm working as a backend developer on a project for the Citibank.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we are working here for the migration part. So
Mm-hmm.
we are currently migrating the existing monolithic application to a microservice based architecture. So this will basically help to improve the scalability and flexibility and overall performance of the system.
Mm-hmm.
So from the database side, currently we are using MySQL for the relational databases, and for NoSQL we are using MongoDB, and in front end they are using AngularJS actually.
Mm-hmm.
So already various modules of the this old monolithic application has been generated. I mean the architectural part and all has been done. So right now we are in the process of development. So on day to day basis, mostly I write various CRUD operations.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we also write the test cases, and we make it the code coverage as more than 90%, and then we push it to Git. So once it is tested and all, then through the Jenkins, it is deployed regularly to our dev environment. So yeah, this is what is about our current project.
Okay, so how these modules has been decided? Any idea?
Yeah, we have various modules we have reporting services there, notification services there, then customer
Okay,
management
that is
services
fine.
there.
But what I am interested in, like how we decide these modules. So we have monolithic application, right? Now, how we decide that we should have like 10 modules or 15 modules, right?
Yeah, so initially we check in the multi application like which particular service we often use like repeatedly. We have email and notification, all those services, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that we can keep it out as a separate module. Then we have client service, and we have like admin side module as well, right? So all those we can separate it out instead of having into the same application. Also, after separating into modules, we also see the uh, it should be highly scalable, because there are the sometimes in which we face more number of traffics, more of the traffic, and we have to handle them. So those specific modules should be more scalable. Then we
Mm-hmm.
also have like kind of audit and logging services. So whatever the transactions are happening or whatever the hits are being made, so it can be of audit of various things, but this is like one of the example. Like we can audit those whatever hits are coming up, and we can log it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these are the various ways how we split the monolithic application to various modules.
Okay, so whenever suppose we have to store some confidential information, in that case we use character array instead of a string. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, so confidential operations means like suppose we have credentials and all, so that you are talking about, right?
Yes, you can assume that.
Yeah, so yes, we use normally character array instead of a string.
Okay, and can you explain me why is that?
Yeah, so basically string means once we create any string, so that cannot be modified, right? Because it is immutable. So if suppose any sensitive data like credentials or something is stored in the memory, then as long as that memory exists, then there are the chances for the hacker to find out that object information, because even though we reassign something to that string, it won't replace that that memory locations, whatever the content is there, right? So if suppose some memory dump, or uh, I mean if it is there somewhere, if some hacker
Mhm.
wants, they can the data from there. But this is not possible in case of character array, because there is a standard practice we follow. Suppose if any assignment we do to the character array with the some confidential information, so after that, once we are done with that, then we assign that character array with null. So ultimately that will replace the content of that character array. So this will ultimately remove the risk of being hacked or being any kind of data leak.
Okay, okay. Okay, so in Java, we have public static void main, right? So why we use static here? Can you explain?
Yes, because we use a static as the member of the class, and we don't have to create any object out of that class or any instance we don't need in order to call that any specific method. So here whenever we say public static void main, so it allows JVM to call directly this method without needing to create any instance of that class. So yeah, so that's the reason why we use a static.
Okay, suppose you have a parent class, okay, and you have another child class, all right? So parent class has a method called method ABC, and that is a static. So it's a static ABC, okay? Now you have a child class, and that also has a method static ABC, okay? So can we achieve overriding here?
Yeah, so you mean both of the classes have the same exactly same methods with a static?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we say it method hiding. So basically the resolution happens at the compile time in case of we have static methods. So basically the output depends on the reference type, not the object type. So for example, in the main method, let's say we are saying parent, parent equal to new parent, and then we are saying this parent dot abc, then it will print parent method only,
Mhm.
because here the reference point is parent. Now let's say we are saying like child, child equal to new child. So in that case the child will be displayed. But suppose if we are saying parent and then whatever xyz object reference type is there, and then equal to new child, so although we have a new child in the left hand side, so in the right hand side, but since the reference point is parent only here, so parent static method will be called. Yeah, so this is how it will behave.
Okay. So what will be the output if it was not the static method? So what will be the output?
Yeah, so if it is non-static, in that case it will be child only. It will be child ABC, whatever we have, that method that will be printed. Because if it is static, then only it will take the parent's reference point method.
Okay, okay. So what is the difference between array list and linked list?
Yeah, suppose our main uh, objective is to access the data randomly. So in that case we go for the array list, and suppose our main objective is to frequently insert or delete the data. In that case, we use linked list. So array list, the underlying data structure is dynamic array, and in case of linked list, underlying data structure is doubly linked list.
Mhm.
So whenever we have insertion and deletion cases, so we use, since this uses doubly linked list, so we can easily break the nodes, and we can insert the uh, new node inside that easily. So this basically takes very less time in this kind of situation. So yeah, this is the difference between these two.
Okay, okay. How about hash set and tree set?
Yeah, hash set we use whenever the ordering is not important, and we have the use case like we just want to access it fast. Okay, so we go for the hash set in that case, and the data stored in this is uh, unordered format. But in tree set we have the data stored into the some sorted order, and also the underlying data structure of tree set is red black tree, and for hash set it is hash table. Yeah, also one more difference is there. In hash set it allows one null value, and in tree set does not allow any null value. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
Okay, what is hash code and equals contract?
Yeah, in Java, hash code and equals we use whenever we have any comparison is going on between two objects, or some equality checks we are doing. So basically, these two methods are used to determine the equality and uniqueness of any objects whenever we are working with collections like hash set and hash map. So basically we say two objects are equal only when their hash code values are exactly same, and also if the equals method returns false, or any one of them returns false and one is true, in that case these objects are unequal.
Okay, suppose we have a class and it has multiple constructors. Okay, so is it possible that we can call one constructor from another constructor in this same class?
uh, we want to call, yeah, we can do that, yes.
Okay, and how we do that? Can you give one small example of it?
Yeah, yeah, let's say we have one person class, and that has one person constructor, and it accepts like name, and we just say this dot name equal to name, and we have another constructor in this class, and that, let's say it is the parameterized constructor, and that accepts name and age both. So we can, so suppose here we have to again set the name. Okay, so instead of again saying this dot name equal to name here, we can just say this of name. So it will ultimately call the another constructor with that one parameter which is name, and we don't have to again do the assignment here in this constructor of two parameters. So yeah, that is the way how we can achieve it.
Okay, what is immutable class?
The immutable class in Java is a class whose objects cannot be modified after once they are created. So basically its state or its fields cannot be changed once an instance of an immutable class is created. So like string, integer, all that are few of the immutable classes provided by Java.
So how we can create the custom immutable class?
Yeah, for that we need to follow some steps, like we have to make first of all the classes final, then we have to make the fields as private and final, then we have to provide the constructor to initialize the fields, and then we have to provide the getter methods only, and we don't have to provide the setter methods, so that we can only access the fields and we cannot set it actually. And the last step is, like, suppose if any field is a reference to mutable object, then we should return a copy of that object, not the actual object itself. So yeah, so these are the steps we should follow.
Okay. Okay. Why a string is immutable?
Yeah, so for basically for security reasons, string is made immutable. So basically in many applications, strings are used to handle some sensitive informations like username, password, and database connections, right? So whenever we are using string to handle these situations, so it cannot be modified, right? So ultimately it makes it very much secure. So for hackers, it is kind of difficult to hack and get the actual data
Mhm.
or temper the data. And another reason is optimization of memory. So like, suppose any string is assigned to a string, so it is stored basically into the string constant pool. So next time again, whenever suppose the similar kind of string comes up, so it is not going to allocate the different memory for that string. The
Mhm.
same pointer is going to point to that string, whatever we had earlier, because both of the strings are similar, I mean same, so it will point to the same one. So two different memory spaces will not be used. So it is kind of optimized way of using it. So yeah, so these are the reasons.
Okay. What is the difference between collection and collections?
Collection and collections.
Yes.
Yeah, collection is the root interface of the Java collection framework, and collections is a utility class. So this collections has various methods like sort, reverse, right? So all those methods are there, and also this collections is the part of the java.util package. So yeah, so this is the difference.
Okay. Do you know design patterns?
Yeah, I know some of them.
Okay. Which one you know?
Yeah, I know factory, singleton, then builder. So yeah, so these mostly I know.
Okay. Can you explain factory design pattern?
Yeah, so factory design pattern basically, we use one interface on the top for creation of objects in the superclass, but it also allows subclasses to alter the type of objects that will be created. So for example, let's say we have a to create a shape object.
Mhm.
So we have various shape objects like circle, rectangle, or a square. So instead of directly creating the instance of these shape classes, we use factory design pattern using one interface first of all on the top. So we can have, like, let's say public interface shape, then we can have like three different classes for the circle, rectangle, and a square, and all these three will be implementing shape
Mhm.
interface. After that we create an abstract class, let's say shape factory. Okay, so that declares a method, let's say create shape over there, and this method will be responsible for creating the objects, but its implementation is deferred to the concrete subclasses. Now after this we can have the factory classes, let's say circle factory, so that circle factory will extend again shape factory, and
Mhm.
that shape factory will have the method of create shape, and ultimately it will we will have the new circle object from there. Now finally, whenever we want the circle object, so we can just say shape factory equal to new circle factory. From this object we can say dot create shape, and then we can further call the draw method from there. So this is how we can write the factory design pattern.
Okay, have you worked on Java 8?
Yes, I have worked on it.
Okay, so what are the features you have worked on?
Yeah, I have worked on Lambda expression, streams, then datetime API, then optional, functional interface. So yeah, on these I have worked on.
What is optional in Java 8?
Yeah, optional we use to uh, prevent null pointer exception. So it is kind of a container object that may or may not contain a non-null value. So basically it helps to avoid null pointer exception by providing some methods it has. So it has some methods like is present, then if present, or else, like etc. So before this we used to check it manually, and we used to check if the item is null, double equal to null, so all that. Now that is not required. So instead of checking for null manually, we can wrap a value in an optional and use methods like these, as I told, like is present and all, and we can handle it safely. So yeah, this is the use of optional.
Okay, what is default method which has been introduced in Java 8?
Yeah, default method has been introduced in Java 8 to handle the backward compatibility. So it basically allows us to add new functionality to interface without affecting the implementing classes. So suppose we have one interface and that has the default method, then all the classes which are implementing this interface will inherit this method automatically, and also the classes which are implementing this interface, they have the freedom of overriding this, so they are not binded to the method implementation which has been done in the interface. So they can override it, and they can give their own implementation also. So yeah, so this is what is the default method in the interface.
Okay, what is reduce in Java 8?
Yeah, reduce is a terminal operation basically. So this is used in stream API for the reduction of the elements of the stream to produce the single result. So basically for sum and concatenating the values we use this mostly. So yeah.
Okay, can you give me one example of it?
Yeah, let's say we have a list of numbers, and we want to perform the sum of all those numbers. So let's say we have array list dot as list, and then we have, let's say, 1 2 3 4 5 numbers are there, and we want to sum it up. Then we can perform that reduce on this operation, and I mean we can perform reduce on this stream. And in this reduce, this basically takes two arguments. So first is the identity value, and the second one is the whatever the operator we want to perform. For example, sum, if we want to perform int, we can just give 0, and second operator we can say as sum. I mean the method, the sum method is there, right, from the integer class, wrapper class, so that we can give, and this will basically sum up the all of the integers whatever we have inside the array list. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, how do you communicate between microservices in your project?
Yeah, so we are basically communicating through the synchronous and asynchronous way both. So in synchronous way, we are using HTTP REST. So most of the time, whenever we don't want to wait for the response, so microservices expose the RESTful APIs, and another microservice can consume that RESTful API using the URL whatever has been provided. But sometimes we also use message brokers for asynchronous communication. So for that mostly we use ActiveMQ and Kafka. So in this case, so suppose one microservices has to communicate with another microservice, so the microservice will publish the message to the broker, and one
Mhm.
or more other microservice consume the message. So those microservices can consume that message as per their requirement and their availability, so there is no need to consume it immediately. And the microservice which has produced it, they also don't wait for the response, and they simply go ahead. So this is basically the producer and consumer type of thing. Then we also have fin client, but I have not used it mostly, but I know that there is one more way of doing the communication using fin client. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. What are the Spring Core annotations you are aware of?
Spring core annotations.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have at the rate of controller, at the rate of rest controller, at the rate of component, then service, repository, and then we have auto wired qualifier, and then we have bean, we have at the rate of configuration. So yeah, so there are many more. These are the ones which I can recall right now.
Okay. So what are the stereotypes annotation?
Yeah, so this the one I told in the beginning, like component, then controller, then service, repository. So yeah, so these comes under the stereotype.
Okay. Okay. Are you doing anything for security in your application?
Yeah, we are using JWT, JSON Web Token, for the security in our Spring Boot application. So as soon as user logs in using its username and password, then the token is generated. So that token will be basically having the user's details and roles. So that is sent to the client. Then the client usually stores it into the local storage or second storage, session storage. Then for the next request onwards, we add a bearer as a that token which we have received earlier, and that token is further validated every time we make the request to the whatever the URLs we want. So that again based on this token, if that user whoever is sending that request, it is I mean we identify whether that user has the specific role, or that user has access to that specific URL, and then only we further proceed to send the response to that specific user. So basically we have a 30 minutes token expiration time, and after that, if suppose the token is expired, then anyway we have given that login username and password, so again the new refresh token is generated, and further this refresh token can be used to generate the new token, and that token again further can be used for the next further requests.
Okay. What is Spring Boot starters?
Spring Boot starters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spring Boot starters are a set of predefined dependencies, we can say, so that simplify adding a specific functionalities to the Spring Boot project. So basically, it helps us to remove the kind of boilerplate dependencies. So, for example, whenever we have to suppose interact with databases, so in traditional way we used to write multiple dependencies like Hibernate, MySQL. and for JPA, right? So all separately we used to add in the, maybe if it is Maven project, then in pom.xml. But in case of Spring Boot, we don't have to do that. Now we can simply include like Spring Boot starter data JPA. Okay, so that will automatically download the dependencies of related to all this Hibernate, MySQL, and Spring Data JPA. So basically, using this, it helps the developers to focus more on the business logic only, instead of just spending time in the configurations of the project. So yeah.
Okay, can you explain the annotation at the rate of Spring Boot application?
Yeah, so this Spring at the rate of Spring Boot application has three underlying another annotations. So the first one is at the rate of configuration, and then at the rate of enable auto configuration, and then at the rate of component scan. So at the rate of configuration, basically that indicates that the class can be used by Spring IOC container as a source of the bin definition. Then enable auto configuration, that enables Spring Boot auto configuration feature, so that automatically configures Spring Boot settings based on the added dependencies. And then component scan, that scans the packages and all where the main application class is located. Also its sub package also can be scanned, and wherever we have been and all, so those objects will be created. So yeah, so this is what is at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation.
Okay, how do you handle the exceptions in Spring Boot?
Yeah, in Spring Boot we can handle it globally. So we use at the rate of controller advice. So that annotation we can use on top of the class name, and then again in that class, whatever the method we have which we are writing to handle the exception, on top of that we can write at the rate of exception handler, and we can give the whatever the exception class is there, so that we can mention inside that annotation. Yeah, so this is how we handle
Okay,
the.
what is actuator?
Yeah, actuator is basically provided by Spring Boot. So in order to use that, we can add that dependency to Spring Boot, and that we can basically use to monitor the various endpoints it provides basically. So for example, we have health metrics, environment and all. So all those G endpoints we can just hit and we can get the required information. So basically we can monitor and manage the application using this actuator, and we can also enable and disable the specific endpoints whichever we want. So yeah.
Okay, okay, so in SQL, suppose any get operation is there, okay? Any query is there, select a star from whatever, okay? Now what you observe that this query is taking hell lots of time in the production environment, okay? So how do you fix this? So what approach you follow to fix this?
Yeah, so you mean how can I fix this if it is taking lots of time? Any uh, select query is taking lots of time.
Yes.
Yeah, so what we can do is that we can use indexing. So suppose the select query we are performing on some specific column or something. So we can apply indexing on that specific column in order to make the query to fetch the data faster, because there are the chances that in production environment we will have the lots of data. So in our local environment or dev environment, uh, there will be less number of data, so we might be getting it easily without any issue, but this will not be the case in case of production environment. Also, like suppose it is some web application, then we can use pagination. So that is also one way, and then we can also apply limit if required. So yeah, so these are the things we can do to make it faster.
Okay, so what is the difference between delete, truncate, and drop?
Yeah, so delete basically deletes the one row at a time, and truncate basically that removes all the rows in one go, so we don't have to delete one by one. So this is truncate. And then drop is basically that removes the complete table itself. So it will basically delete the whole table itself. So there will be no objects at all. So whatever the indexes, relationships, or anything we have done on that table, that will be gone. So yeah, so this is the difference between these.
Okay, what is a stored procedure?
Yeah, stored procedure is kind of, we can say, set of SQL statements. So it can be small also or big also, but normally whenever we have the like huge query or big query which we want to repeat and execute it, so we prepare one procedure. So basically they are compiled SQL statements that improve performance and maintainability. So yeah, so we can reuse it, and uh, for security purpose also we can say that it is good, because uh, the user can be granted permission to execute the procedure without giving them the direct access of the whatever the tables it has. So yeah, so this is what is the stored procedure.